Ladies and gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Well, good Tuesday morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. on this 19th day of August. I am Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning.
Good morning and happy second Monday.
Happy second Monday, if that could even be a sentence that we could say out loud. Let them know what they're in for.
We'll get into some NFL news around the league. We'll be joined by our buddies over at NOR, who will join us at 7:30 to let us know more about this cornhole tournament that I'm kind of excited about.
I mean,
it's a sport that I can actually do.
You might see an EBS team partake. I'm just talking out loud, but we'll see what we can get done here.
We'll have our boy 24KG with our weekly wrestling segment at 8 o'clock. We'll get into all sorts of news, miscellaneous, and I've got a question for our listeners as we've just confirmed that we're going to go to a USC game here in a couple weeks, and I've never gone to a college football game.
Oh, you're in for a treat.
I've gone to several NFL games, so if you'd like to let me know what the difference is
now
between a college game live in person up against a NFL game, let me know. Text it in 661-842-2000.
I can give you one thing that I've seen when it comes to fan, and that's just the energy and interaction is different. An NFL game, there's a lot of just, people sitting around a lot. I mean, yes, you're cheering on your team, but if you're at a college game, be prepared to move. You aren't sitting for the majority of this game. I can promise you that right now. There's a lot of standing. There's a lot of singing. There's a lot of chanting. I mean,
it's every Sunday at my house. Then.
I mean, yes, traditional football fans will enjoy this. I love going to college games. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to swing you into a game like USC UCLA, which would be.
And I probably couldn't afford it, so it's probably best.
I mean, we never know. Who knows? Maybe both teams aren't going to be great this year, and we could sneak it. Who knows?
Not.
But I think you're going to enjoy it. Plus, it being obviously at the Coliseum, what better place to have your first college experience, Sparky, than with the Trojans? Fight on, baby. Fight on. Let's talk about some NFL football.
And I'll give you the Phillies one game.
Well, again, I wasn't going to bring that up today. I wasn't. I don't like to jinx myself when it comes to these kind of things. Yes, Philly pulled off the win, 12-9, 12-7.
It was 12-7 when I turned it off.
It might have been 12-7. I think it might have been the final 12-7. But that's only one game.
Yeah.
There's still two more. I could still lose this entire series. So that's why I wasn't going to bring it up. I was just going to let it slide and say, you know what? Bryce Harper hit 2 home runs for 800 total feet. Oh my God. First MLB player ever to hit 2 400-foot homers, by the way.
Yeah. The pitching does not look good in Seattle last night, but
the bats look on fire in Philly, and I love to see it, especially with playoffs right around the corner.
We will see what we see. And later in the show, I will give you an update on my dynasty team as of right now, as I'm pretty much running.
Have you been able to draft anybody yet?
I've got 4 or 5 players.
Okay, fantastic. We'll figure out who those players are here after we get to some news in the NFL. Let's talk about the game last night, because surprisingly, actually pretty entertaining. The Bengals and the Washington Commanders wrapped up preseason week 2, and unfortunately, the only thing anybody could talk about are the 3 players that were holding out. Trey Hendrickson on the Cincinnati Bengals side, and 2 offensive studs for the Commanders in Brian Robinson Jr. and Terry McLaurin. Brian Robinson Jr.'s entire situation sounds like he might be done with the team in general and not want to play there, period.
Yeah, that's what the news came out this morning. They're saying that they might just release him.
Yeah, the relationship between the two camps is not great, so I'm assuming that the Washington Commanders will just probably move on from the situation and move with Austin Eckler as the running back 1 going into week 1. Terry McLaurin, they're still hopeful to be able to nail down some sort of contract negotiations. From what we understand, the number is somewhere around $30 to $33 million. So says Ian Rappaport on McAfee yesterday. That's a fair number, in my opinion. We're talking about a guy who for 6 years has been your number one receiver, has had 1,000 yards in 5 of those years, had 13 touchdowns for you as a wide receiver last year, his largest number by far in his career. I think 33 million is a good number for him.
Get it done.
I agree. And especially at a time where you don't have to worry about paying Jaden for a little bit. I was listening to them talk about this on multiple shows yesterday, and each of them said pretty much the same thing. This is the opportune window for you as a Washington Commanders team. And I'm going to tie another team into this because I think the New England Patriots are also in this window. When you have a young stud quarterback that is on a rookie deal, although, yes, they were top in their draft class, so it's probably on the upper echelon of what, pay they could have gotten. You're still getting them at a market value right now. Utilize that time, trade for people like Terry McLaurin and potentially a Trey Hendrickson over in New England, and boost your chances at making it to the Super Bowl early before you have to pay these guys the millions upon millions of dollars here in the next 4 or 5 years down the line. So if I am Washington, wrap it up. Figure out some way to pay Terry about $33 million. Keep him in Washington for the next 4 or 5 years and make sure Jaden Daniels looks good like Jaden Daniels looked last season, because you're already losing his number one running back. And if you don't think losing Brian Robinson Jr. is going to matter, it matters. We're talking about a guy who had 800 yards last year, 8 touchdowns, regardless if you played 14 games or not. He is your number one running back. It was somebody they could rely on in key situations. You no longer have that on the team. And we're talking about a guy that was a consistent 800-yard game or 800-yard season getter. So that's valuable on a football team.
Yeah, especially when you're teaming him up with guys like Eckler that, is getting a bit older. And I just don't know if he can be a power back, running back one for a whole season.
No, and Eckler doesn't necessarily need to be anymore, but Brian Robinson, even with pairing him up with Eckler and all the other times he's had to split carries, he still had the same production.
Yeah.
So that shows you that he has the skill to be that number one running back. And honestly, if they do end up dropping him, I think someone's going to pick him up pretty quick. There are some running back needy teams right now that Raiders would love to have a Brian Robinson Jr. And actually, that's a good one right there. I think pairing him with Ashton Genty would be a fantastic combo. But does he want to actually split carries that much? Because that's essentially what we're hearing from the camp is that's how the offense is going to be running in Washington this year. He was splitting carries already, but now it sounds like they want to put the young guns in there too, which means you're not only just splitting carries with Austin, but you're splitting carries with one or two other guys. So opportunities are going to be even slimmer. He doesn't like that. So maybe he wants to move into a situation where he's more utilized. I don't know exactly what's going to happen out of this, but from what we understand, Washington and Brian Robinson's camps are pretty much set to part.
Yep. And did you see the video of the fantasy guy that took him in the first pick of the draft?
He was taking Bijan. Yeah, big dummy.
Oh man! And I posted that video on our Instagram. So check it out.
In his defense, I will give you this, big guy. The marker was a very deep red, like an Atlanta red. So if I see an Atlanta red and it says B Robinson, I am also going to sit there and say, "Oh look, Bijan."
Well, that's what the guy was laughing at him. It said Junior on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got the wrong guy, dude.
Yeah, it's just I don't even know if they let him change it either.
No.
Because if that's my fantasy
in our leagues, you're not changing
the minute you touch that name to that board.
Once your hands are off of it.
Over. That's your guy. You can't pick, you can't change. No.
And to flip it over to the other team with the Bengals, I mean, obviously this Hendrickson thing has been ongoing. Mm-hmm. And he is reported to camp, but he is not padded. He hasn't, he's been doing individual workouts, and he put his foot down yesterday, said, I'm not taking this deal. I'm not playing under it. Either you could take the trade talks, whatever you want, but I want the guarantees more than a year. And that's been the whole scuffle is they don't want to give him any extra guarantees after this season. And with the guy that has proven himself, and I think he is going to get picked up or traded real soon if they don't work out something. But now the hang up is Cincy came out and say they want a first-round pick and a young defensive stud,
That
and
is
you're not going to get.
absolutely absurd. When I heard that on, again, the McAfee show yesterday, because Ian Rappaport was the one covering it, Pat was out, I could not believe that's what the asking price was. And they're not just asking for a defensive player. They're asking for a defensive starter, a young guy, like someone you drafted last year. So essentially, they're asking for, say, the Minnesota Vikings to give up on one of those defensive ends they drafted last year, give it to them, plus their first-round pick, and maybe you'll get Trey back.
Not going to happen.
That's absolutely.
They obviously
Bengals
know the
nuts?
value. They obviously know the value, but just don't want to pay it.
Exactly.
You think any other team's going to pay that?
No. And that's the whole point we talked about yesterday, right? The longer you wait on this, the dumber you look as an organization.
Mhm.
They all know Trey's not going to play for you unless you pay him. And we also know you all are either don't have the money to pay him or won't pay him. So this is going to lead to free agency. And when free agency comes in, they could just swoop in and pay them whatever dollar sign he doesn't care to pay, because you're still going to have to pay him whatever that was left in his contract.
Yeah.
Just like in the whole Russell Wilson situation. So I know it's not a long period of time, but you're still going to be getting him at a market value. So I don't understand why Cincinnati waits this long. I don't understand why we're just now talking about this. If you planned on trading him, you should have traded him a while ago.
Yeah, during the draft.
I'm assuming they just thought they could convince Trey to stay. Like maybe they thought and believed genuinely that this handshake deal format that they've been doing was going to work again. But it's kind of ridiculous to ask. Again, as I've said ad nauseum, that you can't do that in sports anymore. It's not a thing. It really isn't. I mean, we're moving towards that not being a thing in college sports now. We're going to have contracts for some of these kids with NIL money. That's how serious this is getting. So you cannot sit there and say that a handshake deal or playing on somebody's loyalty is going to work, because there's not a lot of loyalty in professional sports anymore. There really aren't. Players find out, or I shouldn't say find out, but say very quickly that they learn it's a business. It's not necessarily these guys are going to keep you around for your entire career unless you're a Patrick Mahomes.
And I saw some Bengal fans that weren't too happy that they let Burrow play much longer than they expected. He did take a couple hits, but
I think you need it.
You do need it, especially the team that is historically starts off super slow and loses a ton of games in the beginning, where they're the second half of the season, they're trying to play catch up just to get in the playoff hunt.
I think, and hear me out on this, because Orlovsky brought it up, and I thought this was interesting. Teams back in the 90s, especially like Peyton Manning's Colts days and stuff, they would use you in play or in preseason based on how long they expected you to play in the regular season. So if they're planning on making it all the way to the playoffs, they're planning on you playing 17, 18, 19 games at that time. So you wouldn't play in the preseason until week 4, right? Because they want you spry for the rest of the season. The Cincinnati Bengals are kind of going the opposite direction, right? They're thinking, we start slow, so we need you guys to start early, have that slow start in the preseason, so when season 1 or when week 1 starts, we're rare and ready to go for the rest of the season. Both strategies kind of make sense to me, but this is kind of the issue that a lot of people have with the preseason in general, is some teams need it and some teams don't. So it kind of weighs how valuable it is for a lot of these teams to go through this process, right? For teams like Cincinnati, it works out for you great, because like I just said, you can get this slow start out of the way. I know everybody's kind of mad about them playing them longer, but honestly, week 3, I wouldn't be surprised if they played the whole game.
Yeah. And I think if I was a coach, I mean, a lot of teams usually do it in the beginning of the preseason and then kind of spawn them off in the end. I'd probably do it the opposite way.
Right.
And I'd want to see what the young guys look like in the first couple games, so I know a better option of, okay, who's going to make the team, who's leaning on more practice squad, and who's really just a camp body. And then going into maybe the last game, which is now the third game,
right?
Maybe you get the starters out there for the first half of the game,
like we used to see a long time ago when there were 4 preseason games. You got the whole like first half being the first stringers, and then you never saw them for the rest of the preseason.
But it seems like the teams are doing it backwards now,
right?
Which I mean, there's always a strategy to it,
There's
but
just
that
interesting.
hit that Burrow took last night and then fumbled the ball. I mean,
Right.
he got an extra couple of hits on that one, which is probably a good thing. But you can also look at it as, okay, why is he in here with backups? And the offensive line did not look good last night.
No.
But maybe it's just Washington's front line, front seven. But either way, for a team that has been slow starting for several years, maybe they just needed, for Burrow to get hit a couple times.
It's not a bad thing to have your guy get hit once or twice to get him ready for the season. I mean, it's football. You're going to get hit, although you don't want your quarterback to get hit, obviously. But I don't have an issue with them playing him. I really don't. I think this works to your benefit. I think this works out for your strategy. And like I was just bringing up, and like you said earlier in your thoughts as well, everybody has different strategies to going through preseason. Whether it's valuable or not to some teams is really left up in the air because there are certain situations, like say the Rams, where you don't need Matthew Stafford to play in the playoffs or in the preseason at all. Really, you don't. You would rather him be healthy for week one. Then there are teams like we just bringing up with the Bengals who need this kind of a thing because you got to shake off this slow start. But now we're obviously talking about the NFL getting rid of it in general. I've heard players talk about it as glorified joint practice scrimmages. So it's like if it's a really weird point in the season, but I genuinely believe that teams like Cincinnati, you can't get rid of the preseason.
I think when they messed it up is when they took away more padded practices.
Mm,
I think that's why we're seeing a lot more injuries. And maybe it is the players just not set on the workouts in the off season and then immediately jumping into full on, football, NFL in general is a quicker speed
yeah.
than these players that are coming out of college. And maybe they need to, add a couple more padded padded practices in. And how does this impact on players that are holding out and not padding up? Obviously with the receivers that they know they're kind of business, but it's going to be different than jumping in full speed in week one than not practicing for the last 6-7 months.
Well, I feel like it depends on the player you're talking about, right? Because I mean, certain players like Micah Parsons, obviously your preparation is
Freak
probably
athletes.
on different level here. And I'm not expecting a lot of these guys who are holding in or holding out, depending on which one you look at, to really not be working out. They're still waiting to play football. They're just in a portion of their contract negotiations where you really can't back away or stand on your laurels and just move on.
Well, I'm leaning more towards players that we could talk about after this break is more like the Matthew Staffords
Yes.
and, that are dealing with major injuries
Right.
that can prolong for multiple years. But we'll get into that and much more. Feel free to text in your comments or questions anytime, 661-842-2000. We are the Early Bird Special.
Good morning. Believe it or not, this is what I wake up with almost every morning. I love a day to remember. So good. So good. We got one more segment real quick before we get to our first guest of the day. We got to talk to Jasmine from north of the river. If you're out here in Bakersfield and you like cornhole, we got something for you. They have an entire tournament hosted by the Parks and Recreation division out there at north of the river. And she's going to tell you all about it, how you can sign up for it. There's going to be qualifiers at different parks all around town throughout the rest of the month of August and September that you and your friends can go and try out or just go have fun watching. It seems like it's going to be a good time. And honestly, you might be seeing me and Sparky out there competing. Who knows? Who knows?
That is the plan. But some other NFL news. Justin Jefferson returned to practice yesterday, as well as Matthew Stafford.
Stafford, we knew was going to be returning eventually. I think they were just kind of babying this back injury, rightfully so, as we said they probably should, just to make sure. And as I said during the last segment, you really don't need Stafford to play in the preseason. He's not one of those guys that really needs to. He should be there to show face. He should be there to be the leader of the team, obviously. But in terms of playing on the field before week 1, do you really need to see anything from Matthew Stafford that you haven't seen in previous years? No, not at all. So if you're a Rams fan, I think it's a good thing to see that he's back throwing. He looks good. He looks healthier.
Coach cut him off at 25 plays.
As well they should, because again, we're dealing with a back injury that could be a lingering, affecting thing all season long. That's all anybody's been talking about. And to be honest with you, now we got guys like Chris Canty coming out saying that maybe the Rams should have moved on from Matthew Stafford a while ago.
If you're the LA Rams, the mistake that you made was convincing yourself to gloss over the health concerns for your quarterback because of how close you were to a championship. You had peak value for Matt Stafford this offseason. If you were interested in moving him, there would have been several takers, and you could have taken advantage of that situation, but you didn't. You decided to run it back. Why I fault them is because they have more information than anybody else on Matt Stafford's health and what they could expect from him moving forward as a player. This back injury, I don't know. It feels like one of those things that could undermine anything that this team will be capable of accomplishing this season. And if that's the case, now we're talking about the NFC West and maybe the NFC as a whole being open to some degree.
I think that's a little early to say. Now, granted, I am on the side of this injury is probably going to be a little more serious than they're leading on. And it being a back injury makes it even worse, in my opinion. But unless he never suits up again and sees the football field and never plays as Matt Stafford again, I'm not going to say the Rams should have traded him or moved off of him. There was no reason to move off of Matthew Stafford. And granted, he wanted the contract negotiation at one point in this offseason. Who isn't going to pay their Super Bowl winning quarterback the money he wants? The guy who's been leading you for the last, 4 or 5 years in this organization and is one of the roughest, toughest dudes on the football field and has been since he came into the league. Pay the man. And for them, or for Canty to say that they should have moved off of him, I think that's a little bit of a stretch. What would have been a better option? You know what I mean?
It wasn't Aaron Rodgers, because I know that was the talk, but I think they were probably right. And by bringing in a veteran type backup, and there's still a lot of people that believe in Bennett. So I think the quarterback room is fine, but I think Ryan Clark hit it with whether this injury is really going to prolong what we expect out of the season from Stafford.
Toughness doesn't have an expiration date. Your ability to recover does, right? And so when you play Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson in week 1 and you under that heat and you that physicality, what's week 2 going to look like? And what's week 3 going to look like? And this is a team that was a drive away from hosting the NFC Championship. So we understand they have championship level aspirations, and that only happens if Matthew Stafford is the quarterback.
I agree. There's going to be lingering injuries all year. But again, I state, what would have been a better option? You're really going to sit there and say, because as Sparky just said, Aaron Rodgers was better than Matthew Stafford? No, we're not going to say that. Was there any young quarterback in this draft class that could have came in and been that guy and just walked in and said, I'm just as good as Matthew Stafford? No. This was actually a notoriously weak draft class in terms of quarterbacks. And no matter how much Shedeur Sanders pulls in media attention, that doesn't mean he's going to be a great quarterback like that.
We'll see.
We'll see. We don't know yet. My point being this: the Rams weighed their options. There were no better options than sit and wait on Matt. And honestly, I think it looks better on them as an organization. We talk about teams like the Bengals and all these other guys moving off these guys so quickly and not wanting to pay them. And now everybody's saying they should have just thrown out their star quarterback to the Wolves because he's back hurt.
Yep.
Come on now. What looks better as an organization? What looks better for you going forward? And honestly, when you're sitting there trying to sign a quarterback in the future, he's not going to be wondering, if I mess up my back, are they going to throw me to the Wolves too?
Yeah.
Because they just threw the last guy who won a Super Bowl for them. Come on now, Canty. Let's calm down. I think it's a little early to be saying they should have traded him away this offseason. Now, the injury is going to be a plaguing question all season long, and everybody's going to say, oh, he threw a bad throw. It must have been the back.
Yeah, we're going to hear about it all season.
Which sucks. But until we are seeing otherwise that he is 100%, he's back to full strength, that's just going to be the talking point. I do agree with Ryan Clark, though. The fact that you're going to be taking on Hunter and Anderson in week 1 under heat that scares the ever-living Jesus out of me.
Going to wake him up.
Oh, my God.
We'll take our break. We'll welcome Jasmine over from NOR, and we'll hear more about this cornhole tournament right after the break. We are the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the early bird special right here on ESPN Bakersfield. I made a screw up. I apologize for those of you who are right now. I did not set up the secondary camera. But we got to talk a little cornhole for those of you who are enjoying that around the world. It is one of the most. I have not gone to a single barbecue in the last 4 or 5 years where they did not have a cornhole set up.
I got my dolphin stuff.
Do you have a dolphin set up at the house?
cornhole. It's got my orange
God, my
lights.
dad has an entire section of like it's bocce ball, but it's technically set up for cornhole, which is ridiculous to me.
While you
However,
set this up, I'll kick this off because it's the 70th anniversary.
It is.
So aside from the cornhole, which we'll get into, what else can we expect on this event on October 11th?
Yeah. So October 11th, we have our 70th anniversary festival for North of the River Rec and Park District. It's going to be at Polo Community Park. It's honestly like an all-day affair.
Right
So
on.
we're going to kick it off at 3 p.m. We've got some opening ceremonies, and then we're going to go straight into free activities, lots of fun. There's going to be a home run derby. Completely
Nice.
free to participate. A lot of fun. We're gonna have a foosball tournament there on site. So full human-sized foosball tournament.
Woo.
Bounce houses for the kiddos, food trucks, a blood drive.
So my boys,
so
Mental
much.
Buru, will be out there.
They will. Live music. We're excited to have them. So there's really something for all ages. And then that, like I said, starts at 3 p.m. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. And then at the end of the night at 7:30 p.m., we're going to have the first fully free drone light show in Bakersfield.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
very
know
exciting.
NOR always does it right. I used to coach flag football out at NOR.
Oh,
So
very cool.
what's up with the this? It's a drone show.
Yes, it's a drone light show. So it's, I know we really have, that's why it's the first. We haven't had one locally. So it is so cool. I saw one about a year and a half ago for the first time, actually the same business that we're working with for the drone light show here. And it was 10-minute show. And I was like a little kid. I had my
Yes.
phone out. I had so much fun. I just felt so silly afterwards when I was trying to explain it to people because you have to see it to understand the energy and the excitement. It's like if you had saw a fireworks show for the very first time, like you can't even imagine what that feels like, right? So it's really, really cool. Like I said, completely free. We want people to have fun, celebrate with us, and make some memories together. That's the whole point of NOR.
Of course.
how big is this drone show going to be? Because I've seen a lot of video of these happening around the world and stuff, and baseball games have these a lot too. So are we
Yeah.
talking like a handful of drones? Are we talking a couple hundred? Like how big are
Couple
these?
hundred drone
Couple
show.
hundred?
Wow.
Okay, that's
Now,
awesome.
A big sports game like that might have even more than that
Right.
technically, but yeah, 200 drones. You've never seen this many if you've never seen a drone
Okay.
show. So
I went to a Metallica show a couple years ago, and it was the first drone show that I seen, and didn't even have hundreds. It had like 20, but it went with the music
yes.
the whole time, and it was intense. So if you're not good at cornhole, and if you get knocked out like me and I'm sure Burdick, if we don't make to the championship, it's obviously a full day family event.
Whoa. First and foremost, we come to play, sir.
We'll see.
If we're
we'll
gonna do this,
see.
we're winning the whole shebang.
That's the plan, anyways.
yes,
Then
absolutely.
food.
Yes, lots of food options,
Well, I'm
multiple
in.
food truck options. And actually, we do this every single year when we host our fall festival. The first 200 guests, first come, first serve, get a free hot dog meal. So
Boom.
first 200, if you want that, you have to show up and get in line. And it's pretty competitive, to be honest.
Well, at least the weather will
but
be nice in October.
Yes, that's the whole reason we host it then. Celebrate being outside, going to the parks, having some fun. The basketball courts are there, the playgrounds are there. And that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg of everything we're offering there. Our dog park is going to be opening up soon there as well.
Mhm.
So if you've got a dog, bring them on a leash and have some fun.
Absolutely.
It's open to everyone. Look at this, dude. You could do a drone show, get my hot dogs. You said food truck. I'm already sold.
Honestly,
but
dude, that's the beauty of North of the River, though. I was telling her during the break, I've grown up playing basketball at their facilities. Like you go in there and you really realize they do everything. There's really not a sport or a community you guys don't like to reach out to.
Absolutely. We serve north of the river, but that's a huge. I always try to tell people, if you're looking at a map, it's literally everything north of the river, which goes all the way down to almost the southwest area
Right.
now, all the way down to Stockdale River Ranch, which will be our 25th park this year. So it serves all of this whole swath of Bakersfield, but then anybody's welcome. And I always make that clear to people. You don't have to live there to participate. Everybody's welcome. Check out our activities, see what works for you, and have some fun.
So let's talk about this whole cornhole tournament that you guys are doing to celebrate the 70th anniversary.
Yes.
There are qualifiers I see that everybody has to be aware of and go try to be a part of, right?
Yes, there is qualifiers. So the actual day of on the 70th anniversary festival, we're going to have a championship cornhole tournament that people get to spectate. They get to cheer you on, that you get to have some fun. But to even get to there, you do have to qualify. And so we have 3 more dates, 3 more qualifiers still available, with the next one being on August 30th at Liberty Park. And then we have one on September 13th at Fruitvale Norris Park, and then another one on September 27th at River Lakes.
Oh, okay.
So you have to participate in these qualifiers, be one of the top teams in the qualifiers to then go on to the championship on October 11th.
So how many teams are in the championship?
So that's determined on how many people we get to sign up. So if you sign up and you get in there, you might have a possibility of being at the final day.
So you guys have already had the first qualifier. How many teams were there at the first one?
So we had a handful of teams, and so we definitely want to keep seeing more participation.
Okay.
I think as we get to a little bit of the cooler months, we're going to see even more
because
100%. It's hot. It's been hot.
Yes, it is.
But let me say this. We are doing it in the morning. It's 9 a.m. It's before it gets super hot, you know? So I definitely want people to not be deterred by the heat factor of it.
So how do they sign up?
Very easy. Go to norfund.org. You sign up there, register. You can also come in person. Sometimes that's a little easier if you've never done it before. But sign up there. It's $40 for a team. So if you and a friend, $20 each, that's a fun day with a possibility of potentially having another fun day if you win. And then also, we've got prizes for it. So you could win a prize to Tembler Brewing Company, or we are also having meals, box meals to go to Raising Cane's. And then we also have at the very end, a Hungry Hunter certificate as well.
I hope my son's not listening. He is Raising Cane's. This kid will eat it 8 times a week, man.
It's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. That cane sauce is.
What it is.
It hits the spot,
It's that
dude.
cane sauce.
The cane spots hit the spot. It really does.
Me and my wife have been, so he doesn't like it when I make chicken nuggets at home. Because I'll make chicken and I'll deep fry it and I'll make my own chicken nuggets, but he's like, I don't like it. I want Raising Cane's. So me and my wife are trying to trick him. As long as I can make the cane sauce, I'm gonna keep one of these boxes and bring it to him. And if he eats it, oh my gosh, I love Raising Cane's.
Tell me,
this is one of these projects me and my wife are trying to do.
You have to figure out the cane sauce now.
So ages. Anybody, any age?
14 and up.
Oh,
so
perfect.
if you've got a teenager in the house,
get your
partner
son,
with
man. Have him and a buddy come and join us. Why not?
Why not?
See if they can win.
Get him off the computer.
There you go.
Exactly.
That is a key thing right there. I think that'd be a great thing. If any of you have a son or a daughter that just sit in your house all day, grab them for a day, go out to a park and go play cornhole with them. I mean, that's a great bonding experience. It really is.
And
that's
mention Raising Cane's, they'll come out. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a good opportunity to win something. And honestly, we always say with all of our programs, bragging rights are kind of the best.
Of course.
The best,
100%.
Prize.
If we get beat by my son and his friend, I will never hear the end of that.
The best part of high school sports to me was the rivalries I had with my cousins at different high schools. That's the best part. If we ever beat you, oh yeah, I'm better than you. I didn't even have to play in the game. We still won. It didn't matter.
Yeah, it's nothing better than a win, honestly.
Absolutely. Let's talk about North of the River a little bit, what you guys do with the community. Do you have anything else coming up? You guys always have events going on.
We do. We always have stuff. We actually just released our fall winter fun book, which is our catalog of everything that we offer. And there's a lot that's going on for all ages. But like when we're looking at adults, we have adult tennis lessons that are coming up. We host those seasonally, multiple lessons a season. And we work with an instructor who's been with us for a very long time, very skilled. And those are Sunday morning classes. So
we got a guy right over there in that studio that might need some lessons here pretty soon. He's been on the shelf for a while with a bad shoulder. Just saying. I don't know if he's going to hear this, but he'd probably hate me for telling you that.
Yeah, so tennis lessons are one of the things that we have. And so that's available. We also have our open gym program, which is drop in. And that's if you're looking for somebody to play with, basketball or pickleball, that's a cool program too, because then you get the opportunity to actually find people to play with. Like you could go in by yourself and have some fun, you know? So that's only $3. That's a drop-in thing that we host at 2 of our community centers. And then we also have adult sports. And I know that they're about to kick off another season. So basketball, softball, volleyball, and those fill up fast. So you just have to find a team to sign up.
I'm not gonna lie, I have been thinking about joining like a softball league or something like that. I need to get back into a sport. It's been far too long.
Softball is always fun. Me and Randy down the hall used to play. So to see the calendar, just go to NOR.
Yeah, go to norfund.org. You could also follow us on social media. We post about all of our different programs because stuff pops up. We add stuff
course.
throughout the year, but norfund.org or pick up a catalog over at one of the centers.
Right on. You said the
Fantastic.
25th park is about to open.
25th Park is about to open.
I,
yeah.
that shook me too. I was like, I didn't
Wow.
realize you guys had 25 of them now.
Yeah, we're I know it's really exciting. We have it right in Stockdale River Ranch is about to
Well,
open.
there,
up
I know
this
there's
year.
a big one right over by Centennial High.
Yes,
I
that's
drive
River
by it
Lakes.
all the time by my son's school,
Mm.
and now I have to talk him into playing cornhole because
Hey, there's a cornhole. One of the tournaments is there.
right
So,
there.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
one of the locations. That's
He
our
has
last
no
one.
excuse.
No, I'll just bring him.
None. Just walk
I'll just
right in. It's
bring
like,
him.
you're going to just jump in the, come on, we're going to go grocery store. And then just
Yeah.
walk right across the street.
We'll go to Cane's for lunch. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time out. We'll continue to pump this up, and I'll get Burdick out here. We'll get out
I
there.
think
and
we're
play.
going to get a team going. We'll see what we can get done.
I hope to see you there.
Thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. Anytime that NOR has anything going on, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on again. Fantastic. We got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. I just realized I got to tell Scott I signed him up for tennis lessons.
Make sure he blitz through this week first.
That's true. That's very true.
Be his next to kin playing
He looks
better.
He's got asthma. It's what
I even talked to a couple doctor friends yesterday and asked them if they ever heard of ozone
it's a
infection,
real thing.
and they had to chat GPT it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Ozone poisoning is a real thing. Believe it or not, for those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, we have an associate here at American General Media who's been out for a while. He's back this week. Thank goodness, but he suffers from asthma, and he apparently was taken out by what he told us, ozone poisoning.
I shouldn't be laughing, but
No,
he would give me
Look,
more
man.
crap if I was sick. So
everybody, every single person, down to a T that I brought this up to, has told me the same thing.
I never heard of that.
What is that?
Yeah,
Never heard of
and
that.
you would think we all have it. If we're living in
One
this
person
valley.
looked at me and said, "Is that the new COVID?"
Yes.
Like they legitimately said, "Is that the new COVID?"
Well, he
Like,
was
do we have
texting me
another
last
COVID?
week, and he thought it was COVID first.
Yes, which honestly, I mean, he probably felt like it from what I was reading. It definitely looks like it's something along those lines. But if you have asthma, apparently this is something that can happen. So look out for that. Especially if you're in the area of Bakersfield, because we have some of the worst air quality on the dang planet. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
And I will say, our summer hasn't been nearly as bad as expected. The last few years have rocked us. So I've been happy with what weather we've had,
You know
even
what?
if it was a 3 or 4 day triple digits.
I agree with you. It's
It
been
wasn't as
pretty
bad.
tame. It's been pretty tame compared to what we're used to getting. And while we're still looking at 107 in the mug this weekend,
Yeah,
though, for the
I'll
first
take it.
time this summer, though.
And of course, it's the weekend. I'm going to be outdoors all weekend, but
Sucks.
I'm looking forward to some football because, once the fair gets here and the fair ends, then the weather starts to cool off. And
Fair
this
food, football.
cornhole tournament now with Jasmine sharing all that info. And I'm pumped up for that, especially
We're
if
gonna
I
have
can
to
get my
break
boy
some
out there.
14-year-old
Yeah.
kid's heart. Is that what's gonna
I'll
happen?
get my EBS shirt, a purple one.
There you go. You get a
But
purple.
speaking of some NFL news that broke, Daniel Jones has been named the Colts starting quarterback, at least for week 1 against my Dolphins. Not too surprised. AR, we've been talking about this for months. Neither of us think he's a starting NFL
No.
quarterback. But
I've
is
been
Daniel
saying
Jones?
no, but I could dig back in the archives and find when I told you that Daniel Jones is going to be the number 1 quarterback in Indianapolis
Yeah, I said the same thing.
because he's more accurate.
He's just better than Anthony
He
Richardson.
is, like, all
which
around.
is a low
It's
feat,
a
but
low bar. But my major question of all of this now, what does that mean for AR's future in Indianapolis? Are they giving up on Anthony Richardson? Are they going the Trey Lance route where they're just kind of just going to say, done?
are they going to be on the phone with Atlanta?
Yeah. And trying to pull in somebody like Kirk Cousins.
Or are they going to try to see who Cleveland's going to release?
Because to be honest with you, and I'm throwing this out there, wouldn't be shocked to see a team like Indianapolis reach out for somebody like Kirk Cousins this year if this doesn't work out, especially if they feel they have the pieces in other areas to make a run. Because if I'm really being honest, the Colts are really a quarterback away from being a playoff team.
With that defense, they are. And
they have a number 1 receiver.
They got the running back.
They have a number 1 running back. They have a solid rookie tight end that honestly is probably going to show out a little bit this year. He's not going to look amazing like Bowers, but he'll look good. The only thing that I could look at that they desperately need to change is the quarterback. So if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I'm getting on the phone and I'm calling Arthur Blank and I'm calling the Atlanta Falcons and I said, hey, what could we get done? Because at this point, Anthony, if you're not going to start him for week 1, I'm assuming you aren't going to go to him in week 4, week 6, week 8.
I mean, depending on how bad he comes out. But I would think they have a plan B, especially with players starting to cut down with their rosters in the next 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see a lot of players that we weren't expecting to be released. It happens every year. And this will go right into Cleveland, which is not a big surprise. We kind of knew Flacco was going to be quarterback 1 at least to start off the season. But
how long does it last?
Exactly. And with the depth chart released, they've got obviously Pickett at 2. Dylan at 3, and Shador surprisingly at 4, which brought in a good conversation we talked off the air. Now, does this have something to do with guarantees, where he was drafted, where maybe they're just going to kind of go into season or week 3 of the preseason before they adjust that? Because I personally don't see them keeping all 4 of those guys.
No.
And they're not even listing the quarterback body that they picked up last week. They still have
Deshaun
Watson's
Yeah.
on contract, which could be, Schefter was talking about with Unsportsmanlike and Evan Cohen this morning, is if he is Watson, he's coming off that PUP list, showing that he can pass a physical and putting Cleveland into a corner.
Oh, yeah, you would have to. That's the only play for you at this point, because Cleveland has to figure out their situation with the 4 quarterbacks that they're already planning to be on the roster. Then what are they going to do with you? Are they going to drop you and just eat the money? Or are they going to try to trade you away to a quarterback needy team? Potentially, maybe in Indianapolis or somebody that is shopping with, prototype situation anyway. But we won't know until he actually gets off that PUP list. That's the entire thing, right? Is I keep hearing Deshaun's name thrown around. It's like, oh, we can't forget about him. We can't forget about him.
But we do.
We do, and we have. And to be honest with you, he's a non-factor and probably an afterthought to the Cleveland Browns at this point. It's done. Like, them drafting 2 quarterbacks in this draft was them saying, sayonara, we're done. We don't want you here anymore. So you're not going to be a Cleveland Brown, regardless if you come in saying, I'm the starter. No, you're not.
And you could talk all about Flacco's age,
Yes.
but out of those 5 quarterbacks, not including Watson, he's the only one that didn't get hurt this offseason.
Yep. And he's the only one that's been a consistent threat at the quarterback position, no matter where he's gone. Like, either he was in Baltimore or in Indy, or it doesn't matter. He's been a solid quarterback. So there's no reason not to start him. I think you maybe get the first 4 weeks out of him. And then they're going to maybe shop around Dylan or Shador, which, let's be honest,
We all know how that's going to end.
Shador Sanders.
Maybe we see Pickett in Indy.
I could see Pickett. Again, that is the odd man out to me, because I know Schefter is also throwing out the idea of them keeping 4 quarterbacks on this roster.
And they also, don't forget, Cleveland's got 2 first-round picks next year.
Yeah, because of the trades. Then they got a lot of build on. I can't. I don't like the fact that Kenny Pickett is the odd man out, but I can't see him in Cleveland. He's gonna be dropped or traded at some point, I would assume, because it would only make sense for them to keep 3 quarterbacks. It's weird to have 4. It really is. We got to take a break, though. On the other side, we'll be talking to KG about all things wrestling. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special right here in the second hour of this Tuesday, 19th day of August. Are we acknowledging him today? I think we are. The shoeless. I
love
need
it, man.
this Shula Fala to get like 5 shoes. I need like
Add a couple more
Jordan
shoes to it.
1s to
Make it a little
Jordan
bit more
8s
dramatic.
all the way down, brother. Like, I need all of it. I really do. We got our boy 24 kg in the building. I'm sorry, my friend. What were you saying? We couldn't hear you very well on that one.
We just need a couple more pairs of Jordans around that to make it a little bit more expensive.
Could you
You
imagine?
know what I mean?
Every like
Heyman-
Jordan he owns.
Heyman, obviously, we know how great he is on the mic, but every week it just seems like he's coming prepared with some new throw in on against the
I'm telling
OTC.
you, dude.
I love it, man.
I said it last week. I stand on it. This entire story is not only boostering Bronson Reed into main event status, but it's going to do the exact same thing for LA Knight.
Almost definitely, man. You know what you're seeing right here is that that next call up, that next generation of guys who will be running Raw, SmackDown, and the PLEs in the future. You know, we've already seen how established Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns have been over the years. So to see some trusted guys, oh man, woo! Like get the opportunity to get on TV. It's refreshing because you know how it used to be. It was those start and stop pushes under the previous regime, but to see one almost fully, or a couple actually in certain cases, become fleshed out is kind of relieving to see as a fan because we know how these things can go.
I honestly loved what I saw throughout Raw last night. Let's talk about a handful of the stories that have actually been building from this. Let's start with the one that we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks because we all kind of saw it coming, but they waited until yesterday to break the news, even though they had already released a whole hour and a half long interview with Naomi and Jimmy last week that I sat through just to see if there was any news. There's none. There was none in that. No.
They knew what they were doing.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
They planted it with a 15-minute excerpt from, I assume, a completely different interview.
Yeah.
That happened after the news came out that Naomi is pregnant. She'll be watching from wrestling for at least the next 9 months, obviously, to go through the pregnancy, and is vacating the title. Wide open for anybody. First and foremost, how do we feel about Naomi vacating the title? I applaud her and congratulations to her and Jimmy Uso for obviously the great news, but it comes at such a rough time, right?
You know,
it was just catching fire
If
with
you've ever
fans.
had a kid, that's how it goes.
I know, and she just got the custom title belt, dude. They just got that like caution tape wrapped around it.
Yeah, it looks
finally,
dope,
it looked great, and of course, like you just said, God has his own plan and just threw a monkey wrench in there for you that now you have to wait 9 months to have this title reign. How do you feel about it?
Look, that ain't God's plan. That's two consenting adults having fun at the peak of their careers, smacking unprotected. And hey, that's what happens when you married. You can do that. You can just say, hey, man, careers is great. We've been doing this a while, but congratulations first and
As
foremost.
she said, you can thank wine for this, I guess.
Yeah, no. Big Jim and the wine.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh,
That was one of the best
man.
parts of the promo last night, how she came out. You could tell she was a little overwhelmed by the love and the ovation from the fans that have been watching her career progress to this part. You know, this is the third time she's relinquished the title and just released it to the authoritarian person who was in the ring this time. I really like how she told Adam Pearce this time, I'm not giving you nothing. Put in the S word for nothing. It was great TV. Then she got a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more honest about, could none of y'all heifers take me out? It took basically Mother Nature to take me out.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
great work. Great work on all that. Most definitely, though, I would like to say at the cost of where her career is peaking, I think she can get it back because honestly, we've seen her leave before. Relinquish the title before due to injury. Another one due to controversy. And this one, I really feel like it was the first time. Well, she's always earned every aspect of what she's gotten in her career as a superior athlete, great performer, great ambassador for the brand. But this one, is different for the simple fact that we've seen this before, but yet the angles that they're working off of it, especially with Becky Lynch's tweet,
That was
how irresponsible is it to get pregnant as champion? That was the exact thing she did in 2023 with 2022, whatever it was, which I
Oh
thought
my
was
God.
great to further a jump off point when she comes back, or anybody who they can tie in for that aspect that either takes the title or comments on the situation all the way around. Congratulations. Great segment on Raw. And they milked the hell out of this for a good 2 weeks now, just to promote Stephanie McMahon's podcast. It's like WWE is taking over the podcast, syndicate on YouTube, for the simple fact that they have so many doing so well that this could have ended up on Cody's, this could have ended up on Undertaker's, this could have ended up on, but it ended up on Stephanie's, rightfully so, because it's a more comfortable delivery process on that product. But overall,
it's a different feel on Stephanie's podcast.
Definitely,
too, right?
definitely a more softer, intimate, digestible, welcoming family kind of feel with her show. So I see why they put it on there. Overall, though, hey, TV time is TV time, and if that's what you're going to take it up with before our PLE, thanks.
I mean, again, I'm not against this. This again is, I believe, God's plan. This happens regardless of if she was on fire or not. I think
they talked about it previously.
We've been talking about this for months, because that's been the rumor from what we understood, is that she wanted to have one last title run and then start a family with Jimmy and then see how things go after that. I think that I agree with you. I think she comes back with an even bigger pop when she does have the baby and have the maternity section of all of this and heal from it. But this is going to be like a year or two down the line, obviously. We're headed into Clash of Paris. This entire championship is up in the air. The only one that we know for sure that's going to get a shot at this is Stephanie Vaquer, because she was already promised a shot.
Definitely.
Who's the one that's going to be taking her on to get the belt?
Well, that's the question right there. You know, WWE has no problem with deferring to tournaments or gauntlet matches.
But you don't have a lot of time to do that.
Sure don't. It's
gauntlet match would make more sense.
Well, they started up a little bit last night with, the EO and Rhea and Asuka now.
I was just
would
about to
love
get into
to
that.
see all four of them in a match. Asuka with Rhea and EO
and Stephanie.
And Stephanie would be a great match.
And Stephanie and Asuka have a previous history as well, having worked together a little bit. I think it would work out really, really well if you did have a four-way. We have a men's four-way. Why not have a women's?
Definitely. And then also the thing you want to keep your eye on is WWE is quick to defer to solid people that they can put a strap on, a title on, a championship on, and move around accordingly and pivot with such short time. You might see Rhea Ripley just reacquire this title, just based on the simple fact that people say, "Oh, she's got new tattoos. She's got new tattoos. She's getting the title back." Nonetheless,
no, looking that good last night.
Nonetheless, before we continue, Naomi did a great job in this character arc that she's had recently, starting off as a heel, a very despised heel for the breakup of Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, that organically got over and beloved as a face very quickly, just based on her character work. So when she returns, you can expect a very congratulatory pop to see her back.
I cannot believe that the proceed with caution thing worked.
Hey,
even Stephanie said in her podcast, she's like, I honestly was skeptical. I didn't think it was going to work, but it works.
It was the laugh, man. Happened. She killed that laugh.
Yeah.
Big Jim said that's a real laugh. Yeah. That is a real maniacal. When she gets upset, he was like, I've been with my wife for about 10 years now. When I hear that laugh, I just know, hey, get low. Just seeing their personalities exuberate outside of the ring is very good television, man. Makes you laugh.
Keeping it in the women's division. I mean, what is next with this crap that they're doing, Bailey? And how can she mix that in?
I would figure that this would tie into the Wyatt somehow, based on the production style, based on how it was presented. I was very confused. Nonetheless, I understand the psychology of the promo. She's doubting herself. She's going crazy. It was very schizophrenic behavior, which is unsettling in real life. To see on TV was okay, well, how are you guys gonna send this character into this spiral arc where she's literally spiraling out of control in her mind? And what are we gonna see in the ring? Therefore, it's not the 90s anymore. So when
No.
you do things like this, I hate to sound like, we were talking about the previous segment, but proceed with caution, literally, because these things can either go all the way up with a rocket or crash and burn. So hopefully, whatever they're doing with Bailey, and as a trusted performer as the trusted performer that she is, I'm pretty sure they're going to deliver something that makes sense on either her re-debut, emergence, or leading to her final crash out that gives us this new unhinged Bailey.
I would love to say that this has something to do with the Wyatt Six, but the fact that they're on separate shows leads me to believe this is going to be two separate stories.
Yeah.
I do think they're going to ride this whole, I guess you'd call it schizophrenia storyline. The like somebody in her own head talking to her.
Yeah,
I would
multiple
love-
personality thing, something.
Yeah, I would love to see this turn into some sort of Jekyll and Hyde thing for her.
That'd be great.
Like when she's crazed out, whacked out, you see the vicious Bailey, and then when she's normal, you see the fan Bailey that everybody loves, and the hugger and all that type of stuff. But if that is so the case, you need to create some sort of wicked character that's a complete opposite than what we're used to. Because if you don't go full into this, I think,
Yeah,
Kimball, you were mentioned, or you were leading to this, but if they don't go full bore into this and make it some sort of creepy Halloween-esque thing, horror-esque thing, you risk potentially upsetting some people, saying you're either making light of or taking something that's very serious and trying to make it,
exactly.
and I don't think that's going to work out in their favor at all.
Most definitely. Another thing before we hop out of the women's division that I was very disappointed in is that they still don't pull the switch with Natty.
Now, hold on, though, because I agree with you in sense on WWE programming. She has been vacant. But if you watch Triple Mania.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm getting to. Natalia versus Natty, the low-key legend. All they got to do, and this was the perfect match to do it in. She didn't have to actually beat Becky. She could have just snapped on Becky, basically becoming disqualified. This is honestly my expectation was she goes in, she puts on a technical masterpiece with Becky, right? Back and forth, sells and all that other stuff. But she just goes too far because of how Becky's been acting. Gets disqualified. This sets up a great Clash in Paris match where by hook or by crook, Becky will still wiggle out with the title. But we see this aggression switch in Natalia that gives us that low-key legend that she's doing on the indies and in different promotions that literally has kicked the crap out of everybody that she's been in the ring with. I'm talking real tough girl, what Ronda Rousey should have been packaged as, but just more complete because of Natalia's experience. I love this character arc that she's doing. I need to see that on WWE television.
Oh, it's a fantastic thing that they're allowing her to do, because if you've been following her in Bloodsport or in Triple A, really, she's absolutely the dominant force that everybody knows her to be behind the scenes.
Definitely. And creatively.
Creatively, she just whoops everybody. But again, she fell short in Triple Mania, which was unfortunate. But I feel like that's on purpose. I feel like they do her like that on WWE television just so they can give her time off on TV to do it on every other,
definitely
platform. Because if you have her as the dominant Natty on WWE TV, well, now she has to be on every show. Now she has to be at the center of every Monday Night Raw. She can't,
and fans know it.
So you have to allow them to be able to have that time away from the shows to be able to dominate in other ways.
Also, her and her husband are pretty busy producing behind the scenes. Tyson Kidd, they write a crap ton of matches and programming for WWE. It's also good for them. Something I want to bring up before we skate off to the next subject. Ilya Dragunov has been cleared for in-ring competition. Where do you think they insert this guy at in the storylines going forward on Raw or SmackDown, gentlemen?
Unfortunately, he's going to probably just be thrown in there with Sheamus and Rusev and then just told, hey, just do your best, because at this point, he's left out. Like, it's unless you're going to reignite Imperium, and put him, Ludwig Kaiser, and Gunther together. I don't see that happening, though, because now it seems like we're going to get a whole El Grande Americano faction,
which is crazy.
which is wild. I also, as I told Sparky yesterday, that means we're probably going to get a woman at some point in an El Grande Americano.
Ivy now, most definitely. The El Grandes.
It would be fantastic. But no, I think that this entire thing is just it's unfortunate, but he may end up going the route of guys like Karrion Kross here and just be phased out after a while. Because I mean, we've seen it kind of with Carmelo Hayes when Miz went off to go shoot American Gladiator. They did
2 seasons.
Yeah, 2 seasons of it at the same time.
Whoa, man.
They did nothing with him though.
And just brought him back at the same point in the storyline where they left off at, which was I get it, but it was still like they could have done a lot with Melo in that time. It's been what, 5 months, 4 months?
Melo, Austin Theory, Ilya Dragunov, all these really young, like great talents are potentially going to be just sucked up into the ether here pretty soon because we don't have any time or stories for them.
Well, maybe they can
over.
Maybe they can pan out in the next Triple Mania, or like Omos.
Otis?
I don't know where Omos or Otis.
Otis,
Otis, like Triple Mania. If for those that didn't know, this weekend they did the best numbers they've ever done under the WWE leadership for a pay-per-view that was simulcast on YouTube as well. So it's free to check out. Make sure you guys go see that and take in some different aspects of the Lucha Libre superstar culture that WWE is now fusing and putting out with. But it was great to see Omos even in that aspect. Like as you were talking about Austin Theory and Ilya, now with all the things that they've got, you might just have to catch them on different programming.
That's kind of the thing. That's why I think they're buying up other programming shows and potentially TNA next, so they have places for these guys to go. The roster is so stacked, you really have nowhere to put them.
It's like a beer, just hey, stop. When you tell the bartender to stop, and they're like stop, and they keep going, it's starting to run over. The cup is a little full right now. We've seen this before in WWE in previous years, but they just didn't have the outlets that they do now to present their products on.
How do you feel about Omos walking away with essentially his first singles title in that Triple Mania show?
Well,
technically it's his first WWE singles title. He won.
What can I say? I didn't see his tag title reign in the New Japan aspect of when he was working over there. This was before any of these affiliates were becoming assimilated into WWE. I'd have to say cool, awesome. What are we going to do with it as far as AAA programming? Exactly. We know that. But I'm not going to go too deep into it. Visually, I think it was a great look for AAA and their pay-per-view, because that was the last person I expected. It was a couple people that I did not expect in their version of their Royal Rumble to make an appearance, which was also great. And the Mr. Iguana and Finn Balor puppet match was insane. That thing's going for $100 online.
Demonito,
right
yeah.
Yes.
Demonito you can buy on all WWE shop websites right now for $100.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Fantastic. You cannot sit there and tell me. And you know what's funny? We got a Demonito before we got an Iguana. They still haven't put that up on the shop, I don't think.
I think they got to work out some legalities about that,
if I'm not mistaken. But again, let's move on a little bit to what else we saw in this building up to Clash of Paris, because we are just a couple weeks away. The main event of this Raw yesterday in Philadelphia lived up to the ECW moniker, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Jey Uso against Braun Breaker, two of wrestling family's finest, to be honest with you. And Braun kept taking some gnarly chair shots from Jey. Like, Jey put him through the ringer. I think Jey really took this as an opportunity to set himself apart as a wrestler and show everybody that he's not just and I hate to use this as a term, but it's kind of the only thing I can compare it to, but the John Cena-esque wrestler, the 5 different move wrestler.
His homage to New Jack in his appearance last night was
exactly
very ECW.
He's trying to set himself apart and put him back into the main event picture, because I fear that Jey is kind of falling off in that area right now. I've heard
much yeet.
Well, not even just that, but I've heard a lot of people say that Jey even though he is a now main eventer and a champion in that area, it's a fleeting thing. It's not going to be long. Like it's one of the, I heard Bubba Ray say it verbatim, was like, he's not going to be a champion again. Like it was a one-time thing kind of a thing.
I think there's truth to that aspect, but also because he's been overexposed.
Yes.
He has been utilized so much and oversaturated on the product so much with the run it backs and the continuous, chants for the doubling up of his interest music, just so the crowd can get a moment, these moments, these visual, captivating, viral, streaming, viewing moments still don't add to what's being put down in the ring. They've literally, as we've seen in the documentary, wondered about his conditioning leading up to this, basically putting the blinders on him and running him like a horse. Okay. Now, when it starts to slow up or people lose interest at the time, and even now, it seems like they pushed it even more. Only now, I feel like, with what they've been developing with the vision, can we kind of see that, he gave us some great matches before Seth Rollins' alleged injury. That Rollins Uso match that they had on Raw was great. It showed us a different style showcase and range in Jey Uso's arsenal. But not only that, it gave us some insight to, okay, this guy can evolve in real time on television with us. But when you're oversaturating and when you're over delivering a product, hey, you can only eat so many double cheeseburgers before you get tired of double cheeseburgers. And I think we're having yeet fatigue in a small fashion that could bleed out in a bad way, such as Bubba Ray said.
And
I think you just hit it with the oversaturation. I think that's just what it is. I think that,
and I love Jey Uso.
I've read the Bubba Ray stuff. I've heard multiple wrestlers, even with the behind the scenes untold and all these, they all kind of mentioned the same thing where they were, they warned him about, the fatigue and working out and this and that. And while it seemed like while he was working on his mic skills, which we saw improve, it
Definitely
seemed to lack more in the ring.
Yeah, you got to be a lot of places when WWE puts you in a position of privilege, from meet and greets to radio shows. Well, you don't even have to be a champion to be on that type of rugged schedule. Look at Jacob Fatu. As soon as he relinquished that U.S. title, it seems like he's been more press runs and show appearances than ever before, which kind of lets you know that they're getting the people more familiar with who they're going to put in positions of prominence for our next potential television season or title changes that are upcoming after our current PLE that we have scheduled in Paris. So I just I really love what Jey Uso has done in his character growth over the last year and some change, but we can kind of take our foot off the gas on that. I feel like if WWE wants to preserve, keyword wants to, because they will squeeze every dollar out of what they can get. And we know that and we still condone the product and how it's delivered to us because we're that embedded into the legacy of WWE and all the years we've watched it. So when you see this, you kind of know what's coming, and they'll revisit it if they still find more life in it, much like LA Knight. LA Knight was on fire and they didn't pull the trigger with him once. It's crazy how we got Jey Uso to win a world title before LA Knight. And he had the initial momentum starting before Jey Uso's run. So we'll see how this turns out. Hopefully it doesn't end with Jey Uso on Superstars.
No, I doubt that. But I mean, again, we're talking about a guy who's 39.
See, I got Sparky right there with that one.
Maybe he should co-host it with CM Punk because I'm sick of that guy too.
Well,
yeah. I feel like the more rare a superstar appears, with the bigger they are, there's more value in that appearance. You see how they're doing with Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And that's not just entirely based on schedule. That's because it's Roman Reigns.
Well, and the fact that he goes through leukemia treatments and a whole bunch of other
stuff.
Yeah.
Treat everybody like that, though. But not everybody is Roman Reigns.
No, but he's also one of the biggest draws when it comes to kids.
Exactly.
So you can't let him have that time off. You know what I mean? It's the Cody effect.
Yeah, exactly. It's very rare to see superstars shoot themselves into that stratosphere of being an attraction, a draw. How they say, thank you for the house. These guys bring the house.
Yeah. Now that there's a reason why Jay's on one show and Cody's on the other. The
Yeah.
WWE has two major kid-friendly wrestlers right now, and that's Jay and Cody.
Mhm.
Those are the two biggest ones. If you threw them out into a kid's or a kid's party or whatever, every kid would be going absolutely nuts.
Either with a whoa or
Yeah,
a yeet.
or a yeet. It doesn't matter. Like they speak to kids more than anybody. And like you just said, you have to sell the house out. That means pulling in families. That means pulling in kids. That means pulling in their dad's wallets.
Did you guys see how many Cody fans were there, knowing that Cody wasn't even on the show last night? He's
Right.
not on Raw.
No.
You still see the merch everywhere.
Yeah, and that's my point, is that you really can't give him that time off, right?
Yeah.
So he's essentially forced to go and work out and do all of this stuff and catch up to everybody. But unfortunately, I feel like he kind of gets overlooked because of how much star power is on this dang show. I mean, his cousin comes back for one night and everybody forgets he's even in the championship. Everyone assumed Braun Breaker was going to take him out in this match last night.
Yeah.
So his cousin Roman could come in and be that fourth man at Clash at Paris, essentially making him the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah. And we've seen that before.
Where fan bases and everybody kind of have him, and that's a little disrespectful, don't you think?
Oh, lightweight, yeah. Lightweight, definitely, because people forget he has a winning record over Braun Breaker, with their whole IC title clash and previous things and whatnot. But because they built Braun Breaker to be so strong, he can take a loss like this and you still aren't fazed by his presence because he's that guy that will deliver. He will, as Paul Heyman said, make you remember why you should fear the spear.
Oh, absolutely. Real quick, with our last minute, what are your predictions for Friday Night SmackDown? Do you think the Wyatt Six are going to be crashing down on a lot of these people, as we saw in promos throughout Friday Night SmackDown last week?
Well, I think that how it was set up to be, we're not going to see a short Wyatt title reign. We're actually going to see this stretch out for a while as they run through the tag division. I think they're going to start
picking out some championships here from people. I think Julia's in trouble. I think Solo's in trouble.
Yeah, because we're not doing anything with that women's U.S. title right now.
Mm-hmm. And you saw Nikki Cross kind of peering over the shoulders last week. I think there's a good chance we finally see Nikki in a ring again.
You also see the MFTs worried about what's looming in the background with their opportunities against other contenders and whatnot. So I think we're going to see a lengthy title run with these Wyatts, and maybe that U.S. title ends up on Uncle Howdy.
That's exactly what I said. And can you imagine Tala Tonga against Eric Rowan?
Whoa!
Two of the largest men in WWE going at each other is going to be.
Let them cook. Hey, you might as well just throw Omos in there, just for fun. Just for fun. If
we're having Otis fun in the middle, so we have a bowling ball too.
There we go.
All right, let's get out of here, sir. Thank you so much for your time. As always, we really appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week.
Most definitely, you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. We are live on YouTube.
Just a reminder, Raw will be at noon next Monday.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Out in the European countries. But again, I'm not going to complain. I actually get to watch it. That's during my lunch. That's
right.
So, all right. KG, once again, thank you, my friend. Appreciate
you. Guys, take care.
We got to take a break, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special right here on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield.
Peace.
Welcome back. Early Bird Special, final half hour of the day. Big thank you to our two guests of the day, 24 KG as always. Wrestling. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Now we got a couple text messages here in a second. Jasmine at North of the River. Go out and participate in this cornhole tournament, man. It's a game everybody can play, and as the notice says, it's one of the most highest or the highest growing sports in America right now. But I much like pickleball, I argue it's easy to grow from zero. So I do agree that pickleball is not anywhere near cornhole, though. I take cornhole way more seriously than anybody who plays pickleball. Sorry, I can't get behind it. I just can't. And I play tennis. But we got some text messages to get to. What we got?
The first one is a bit long, so let me catch this one. Here's something I've been thinking about. Nobody I know has brought up as a final Cena opponent. I think it's Y2J. It's not the best matchup with Jericho's in-ring abilities at his age, but unless he gets into shape before leaving AEW, but it's a great way to introduce Jericho back while sending off Cena. The crowd would go berserk if it was a total surprise opposite, regardless of his ring shape and quality of match.
I agree with you. Y2J would be a fantastic person to come back to the WWE. His contract is coming up in AEW. That is going to be the big tell, right? Is if we get Chris Jericho leaving AEW and potentially coming back to the WWE. But honestly, from everything that I've seen from interviews from Chris Jericho, from everything that he's done post WWE, he's actually enjoyed it more. He's had full creative control of his stories. And in the long run, that's also what John Cena has in his retirement run here with the WWE. So at the end of the day, he gets to choose who his final match is going to be, whether that's going to be a passing of the torch moment with Cody again, or maybe with Braun Breaker or one of these other young guys.
I'd much rather see Braun.
Or maybe one last bout with one of his greatest rivals to wrap up his story.
Brock.
I don't care who it is, as long as John wins. I swear, I know how the WWE works. I get it. I understand fully that, like, usually you don't go out with, with your hand held high. You usually go out on your back. But with John, you have to let him win his last match.
No way.
He has to.
It's the same thing they did with Hogan. They had to lose it.
I know.
Undertaker had to lose it.
Goldberg had to lose his too. But I'm like, it's John. It's John. Come on. But you're right. I mean, whoever it is, especially if it's a young guy, he has to go down so that young guy gets seen as the guy who took out the GOAT.
So do you think he gets 18?
No. I think 17 is where we sit. I think he does get that last Intercontinental shot to get the Grand Slam done, but I don't think he reaches 18.
The next one says, just my opinion. I enjoy going to college football over the NFL. Seems like a bigger crowd, and I could be wrong, but it seems a lot more energy and kickback. No, not a lot of attitude.
No, I feel like that's because you're more likely to be around other fans of that school, right? Like you go to USC, like the game we're going to go to is probably against Montana State. Highly doubt we're going to see very many fans of Montana State at USC. So it is a different kind of ambiance. When you go to an NFL game, it's usually I'd say, what would you say? Like a 75-25 mix of the fans at some point, but you still get a good amount of the other team's fans who, let's be honest, can be just as belligerent and just as loud as you. And you don't like that.
I'm going to say if it's a season opener, it might be
USC season opener is going to be absolutely wild. I am very excited to go check out this game and be a part of your first college game because wow, is this going to be entertaining.
The next one goes back to wrestling. It says have LA Knight. I said I love LA Knight, but ever since they've thrown him into the mix, it seems like he's a bit losing his mojo, stumbling on the mic and missing moves on the ring.
No, they're right. I've noticed. Well, I don't know about in ring. In ring, he's still pretty on par, but on the mic, especially against CM Punk, for some reason, he's stumbling, forgetting his words, like not getting it out with the punchline. I'm like, There's a mojo that's not being hit here. I don't know if it's just he doesn't work well with Punk, or if it's just he's in his own head too much with this not getting the push he thinks he deserves kind of a thing.
Or he's finally getting it and he's a little shook.
Because again, and I throwing this out there, LA Knight, also an older wrestler, somebody who's been in the game for a while, somebody who has never really been seen as that guy yet, but he is finally getting that push. I mean, I just brought up that Jey Uso's 39 and everybody's expecting him to wrestle like a 24-year-old. LA Knight's 42. He's 2 years older than Roman Reigns. He's 4 years younger than CM Punk. Ergo, him and Punk could have went to high school together. Like, there might be a little bit of that, like, too little too late syndrome. Like, yeah, you'll probably get one shot with the title belt, but how much more are we going to see after that? And I also harp back to kind of what Paul Heyman said about Karrion Kross on Ariel's show a couple weeks ago. Who are these heroes, these faces of fans, these, champion of fans with the title belt? There's nothing to go after anymore. That's kind of the problem with Jey Uso, is he got the belt, but there was really nothing left for him to do. And I feel like that's kind of what they're dangling with LA Knight. It's like, yeah, he could win the belt, but then what else is there for him to do?
What now? The next one says, you guys are right as they set up for Survivor Series, but what do you think will be the fourth guy with the vision?
Thank you. I'm very appreciative for being right.
It's pretty fucking.
No,
it was pretty right down the face.
Yeah,
when they're starting to
right.
team up 4-on-4s, I'm like, okay.
But the fourth man, I think there's a lot of validity to pulling in somebody from NXT. However, if they don't figure out this entire thing with Drew McIntyre on the other side, I could also see Drew dropping in with maybe Logan Paul, and they be the last two guys to jump in this. I would like for them to give that spot to an Ethan Page or a Ricky Saints or somebody from NXT who's ready to get called up, though. And we've been seeing more and more of these kids being shown on Raw. Trick Williams and Javon Evans had an entire promo yesterday with Vic. I think that you're going to see a lot of them getting called up here in the near future. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of those more on-edge NXT-style wrestlers are probably called up here pretty soon.
And the last one is keeping it local. Our friend Debbie sent over, says, game, set, match. The second annual Women's Open is now announced. It's serving up world-class tennis October 13th through the 19th.
Ooh.
For more information, check out the Bakersfield Racket Club's website. As we get closer, we will welcome back the Racket Club and Debbie, and
thank you, Debbie. We appreciate you.
The Women's Open.
Can't wait to talk about that. And for those of you who are wondering, this isn't just a local tournament. These are kids looking to get points in the professional realm as well. Like, these are athletes that are looking to get into these.
A lot of them
tournaments.
have played in tournaments all over the world, but before we get in or get away from wrestling, I did have a question. I wrote notes last night, but I saw the Worlds Collide that they were pumping up.
Dominic
in
Mysterio
September
will be taking on Vikingo again
at
for
the
their mega
Thomas
championship.
and Mack Center. What do you think ticket prices are for a smaller event like that?
Ooh, for Worlds Collide, probably about, I'd say $100, $150.
So about the same,
roughly. Yeah. I would assume.
I was just wondering, because if I wanted to make a trip out, those are the type of events I would like to check out.
Oh, 100%.
Especially as it's growing.
And I'm in the talks right now with my best friend of just saying spontaneous trip down to San Diego for this Survivor Series and sneaking my butt in there with a ticket. I genuinely might actually go down there for Survivor Series, because tickets are not that bad at all. They're not. Like, they were $150 a piece last time I checked, but those are also like nosebleeders. So
yeah. You get lucky like our boy Kyle and get the seat filler seats.
Yeah, exactly. We can figure something out in that area. But in terms of, ticket prices, I mean, the WWE's ticket prices have been skyrocketing lately, and I know a lot of fans are not happy about that. I get it. But again, it's kind of like video games. We are so spoiled when it comes to how great a lot of this technology has gotten for us in different ways when it comes to movies, video games, and stuff like that, that we forget that you have to pay the people who make them and pay the people who make it happen. And the increase in ticket prices is kind of in the same realm, right? They are giving us incredible things in terms of stages, pyro, paying these athletes who their contracts are going up and up and up, just like every other athletes are. So the increase in ticket prices kind of ties into that too. So it's just a hand in hand kind of a thing. If you want this stuff to continue to get good and better and great, all that stuff, yet you have to keep paying forward. So that's kind of why. But I'm willing to pay the $150 to go see Worlds Collide and or Survivor Series in San Diego. I think both of those are going to be fun.
Well, we'll take our final break of the day. We'll wrap up the show, go over some headlines, and we'll get right back into it tomorrow live from 7 to 9, almost at 8 to 10, right here on the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. Early bird special, final segment of the day. We had a surprise retirement in the NBA as John Wall has decided to hang it up after 11 seasons, five-time All-Star and former first overall pick, longtime Washington Wizards point guard, a year with the Rockets and a year with the Clippers, averaged just under 19 points, 9 assists, and about a steal and a half a game. One of the more exciting point guards to watch in the last generation of point guards to come in, was fantastic out of Kentucky and was part of that wave of Kentucky players that Calipari really groomed for the NBA and got him out one and done. Same class as DeMarcus Cousins. Bledsoe was in that draft class as well. And they had a couple other words. I think Patrick Patterson was on that team. I mean, Kentucky had a stacked team that year. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer at any point? No. I don't think I think he had promise to be at some point, but once he ruptured his Achilles in 2017, he really never came back the same. Never played a full season again. In fact, rarely ever played over 40 games again. And we never saw the same from him. It was kind of like Derrick Rose, right? Where just so much promise, so much bounce in this point guard, and everybody assumed he would figure it out and figure out the three ball because he was very, very rough from beyond the arc throughout his career.
You don't have to remind me.
But it just sucks to see that an injury essentially derailed what could have been a Hall of Fame career. Again, I give him all the credit in the world. He's going to go down as a Wizards great, 100%. But I kind of agree with you. Like it's going to be hard to really argue that John Wall deserves to be in the NBA Hall of Fame.
And keeping it in basketball, Pacers, Rick Carlisle agreed to a multi-year extension. Not a big surprise.
No.
But with these older OG type coaches.
Could you say that Rick Carlisle was one of the main reasons the Pacers made it that far last season?
Yeah.
I'd say 100%.
Of course.
So why not extend him? I mean, the only thing you're going to have to really worry about this season, and you know what? Like I've been kind of wrapping my head around this too. Obviously, you have the Tyrese Halliburton injury, and he's going to be out all year. Rick Carlisle could still make something happen here.
Yeah, if anyone could.
Pascal Siakam is still on the team. They could find some talent in these guards. I mean, make a push for a championship. Let's not get crazy. But get back to the playoffs. The Pacers in a notoriously weak Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I was going to say with how the Eastern is sitting right now,
they could still be fighting for a lower 8-7 playoff spot, I feel, especially if they could find another gear out of guys like Pascal Siakam, because I still feel that he could be a superstar in the league. He has shown flashes of it. He is a leader. He's won a championship already. He obviously helped lead the Pacers to the NBA Finals this last season. And vast majority of the games where the Pacers dominate, it's when he dominates. So I think that there is a good chance that you could turn him into that superstar that Indiana needs to pair with Tyrese Halliburton to potentially have a long string of success in Indiana basketball. So we'll see what we will see going forward. But I love to see Rick Carlisle re-signed for the foreseeable future, especially when teams like the Knicks can't exactly figure their coaching situations out ever.
Well, to jump over to baseball, what is your thoughts with the Cubs having Kyle Tucker sit for a while? I mean, obviously he's been on a hard stretch.
It's baseball, and to break
probably a good
stretches,
time.
Yeah, you have to do something different. Obviously, allowing him to play wasn't helping.
You know, when you're getting booed out of your own stadium,
it's a pivotal time for them. Like I said, you face the leading Brewers 5 times in 4 days. You need your best guy out there. But if you're not producing with a bat, anybody's going to be better than you at this point. I think that this is going to light a fire under Kyle's butt and potentially get the Cubs back on track. Because again, for the vast majority of this season, the Cubs were the ones leading the Central before this incredible stretch by the Brewers. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that the Cubs would compete again, even in a wild card spot. So you need Kyle to just figure it out. I know it seems so simple and it seems so just direct and possibly even asinine to say.
Players
but-
get into slumps. I mean, he's hitting it
that's baseball.
160 the last month or so. I
As
mean,
long as you're not Michael Conforto and you're under 200, I don't think it's going to matter. But they desperately need Kyle to get out of this slump, which I think sitting him is going to do. I think that's a smart thing to do. And honestly, that's the first thing I would go to as a manager. Maybe you just need a day off. Man, it's nothing against you. I'm not taking you out of the rotation completely. They'd be nuts to do that. But sometimes players just need a day to recoup and figure it out and maybe just bring that swing back a couple seconds quicker. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to boil down to that. Is it a smart idea to do it during the Brewers series? Not really. But
I think getting booed last night was some help. But
I think so too.
To jump over to some fantasy football, my dynasty league, we've got 2
Yes.
minutes left.
What do you got already? I'm
So,
very curious of what you were able to pull out from this. Because
So-
again, explain to the viewers how this entire draft process works for you.
It is insane. So a dynasty league, everybody kind of knows you get a certain salary cap, and it's an auction draft. And this one is from 6 a.m. to midnight, which is insane because I usually go to bed about 9. So we're talking about moving it to 9 to 9. But you nominate a player, you get a certain amount of time to bid or upbid the player. People in this league are waiting until there's a minute or two left to upbid a player,
Of
which
course,
adds on an extra hour to the bid.
eBayers.
As of right now, we started with $220. I've got 50 left, and I've got Jalen Hurts. And this league has got a super flex, so you have 2 quarterbacks. So as of right now, I've got Jalen Hurts, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, and St. Brown at my receiver 1. So those are my 4 guys. But I've got $50, so I'm kind of just kicking back in the weeds right now.
Yeah, I would wait for that because I mean you have to fill out the rest of the roster with $50. That's why I hate auction leagues.
Well, that's what I had kind of waited until to see what these top quarterbacks and running backs were going.
Mhm.
And somebody bid me with Bijan with a minute left. So I was waiting. I had him at 48. I ended up getting him for 51, but that was the running back I wanted.
Mhm.
I mean, we talked about our Fantasy Friday. Bijan was
Number 1,
our
baby.
guy. So I wanted to make sure I had him. I wanted Jalen. And on these, I could sign 5-year contracts. So I don't think those guys will be moving anywhere anytime soon.
Probably not.
And I was able to steal St. Brown last night for like $26. So
That's a good pickup. St. Brown kills in PPR leagues. We'll get to our wide receivers on Thursday this week. We are going to be dark on Friday. I'm taking the day off. I have some vacation time I need to eat up. But until tomorrow, 7 to 9 a.m., as we always do right here on ESPN Bakersfield and live on YouTube at the Early Bird Special. This is the Early Bird Special. We got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.